love Wink.
I did too.
I loved Wink so much.
Oh my gosh, and I'm not normally a Chihuahua fan. But
Winky little beauty.
that was good.
Welcome back to i2i Reviews, the place where we talk about the things that we're seeing in theaters and streaming-wise that are related to Disney. My name is Kyle.
And my name is Jessica. And before we get started, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel, turning on that notification bell, and liking this video if you enjoy its content.
And as a reminder, this is not our home channel. If you'd like to check that out, that's called i2i Kyle and Jessica. We'll put a link for that in the description, but also up above in the video if you want to come over there and check out all the crazy content that we do over there that's related to Disney. All kinds of good stuff to check out there. But for this video, we're breaking down a spoiler-filled review of the brand new movie Cruella. Came out from Disney very recently. So spoiler warning. I don't know why I make those sounds.
I'm concerned because isn't there like...
I put them in there.
Something you can, do and make it.
I feel better if I just put the warnings in.
Do you tune yourself out when you put the sounds in so that we don't have to hear you going?
No, still leave those in there. Anyway, Cruella, spoiler-filled thoughts here, and we like this to be free-flowing, so we just kind of like to bounce around. So, Jessica, Cruella, what do you think?
Now that we can finally talk about spoilers,
Yes.
like on the spoiler-free, it was very hard not to talk about the big spoiler, but. The Baroness being Cruella's mom.
You're gonna go right to the plot twist, the whole dang thing.
Okay, so I'm not here for the slow burn of the video. Let's get to the point. The point is the Baroness is Cruella's mother. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Some people who are astute probably would have, but I'm not one of those people. So I just thought that Cruella's mom was the lady that got killed.
Catherine, I believe her name was.
Catherine Miller.
Catherine Miller.
I did not expect that to be just. Well, not just, because she's the one that raised Cruella. Let's not throw any shame to her. She was the actual, real mother. Yeah. The Baroness was just the biological mother who dumped her. So,
yeah, dumped her.
She did dump Cruella or Estella.
How about this? Let me take it back to the very beginning of the actual, what led us to the whole plot twist thing. So, at the beginning, when we find out the whole backstory about who Cruella was dumped, as Jessica put it there, I knew there was something kind of off about, like, the way they played it. Like, it was too obvious that, the Baroness had killed Catherine. Like, it was obvious that had happened, and they were going to tell us that later.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it.
Well, but remember the way they shot it in the beginning?
It was like the dogs did it.
Right, well, it was an accident is what it was. Right. But
not that she did that little whistle thing.
Right. The little whistle thing is what called the Dalmatians over and killed and they knocked Catherine over at the end of their discussion that they were having. I did not anticipate, though, that the Baroness actually being the mother. I thought the big reveal was Cruella just finding that out. But she found that out pretty early.
That's true. And so...
It was like, well, we've kind of, like, reached the culmination of everything.
But to be fair, I didn't expect there to be any plot twist. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought this was just a story about Cruella. I didn't know that there was going to be, like, oh, and by the way, the Baroness is Cruella's mom, and that's why Cruella is Looney Tunes.
Cruella is definitely Looney Tunes in this. They definitely...
I'm trying to be polite.
I felt like they played her as having, not a mental illness, but almost like... I guess, do you feel like she was kind of schizophrenic a little bit?
Not necessarily. I felt like she was just really...
out there, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, she just maybe didn't know how to handle her emotions and stuff, because... Which is fair. She'd been on her own since she was like 12. Mm-hmm. And so she wasn't familiar with how to navigate the adult world. And then living, because she had been a thief and, trying to like claw her way up from the ground, from the bottom. And then all of a sudden finding out that the Baroness, this psycho lady, is actually your mom. Like, how do you cope with that? I mean,
well, the other thing, too, is that you kind of see that she's got kind of the crazy genetics in her a little bit, too. From the very beginning, that she gave her adoptive mother, Catherine, trouble from the very beginning. She tried to fit in. And she even said at one time in the film, I tried really hard, Mom, to fit in. That was really sad. I'm trying to be what you want me to be, but I'm not. And she didn't understand why. And
I think that is a good message for all of us. Like, some people are just born... thinking differently, not bad, thinking differently than others. And I think Estella, she's just very out there. She was artsy-fartsy. She was really...
That's a little bit more than artsy-fartsy, though.
But, I mean, she was just really into being different, wearing different clothing, even when it was like, her uniform. She wanted to be noticed, and I think she was getting noticed for all the wrong reasons. But, like, I think it is a good message. Like, some kids just really want to be good, but they don't fit into this mold.
But society doesn't perceive them as good because they're so out there.
Even though they really are good.
Look at you just wrapping it up all nice.
Well, I'm just saying, like, we talk about, like, differences and being so great and everything. Like, Estella was a perfect example of that. Like, gosh, if she hadn't been different, she wouldn't have designed all of those amazing clothes.
Would you have preferred, kind of not a complete subject change here, but would you have preferred Estella be a different name for Cruella's real name?
I mean, yeah, for sure.
Like,
but it does flow.
It does, and that's why I'm not upset with it. It's just like a little nitpick for me personally, but, it was just too much alliteration, too much. I would have rather
But it's not an alliteration.
Not alliteration, but rhyming and things of that nature. Because I would have rather her have this completely different personality when she's Cruella. Like, this is completely different from who I am when I'm not trying to be my real self.
Except that, I think the whole beauty of Cruella is that actually is who she is. It's just a more maniacal and evil version. I mean, because Cruella, let's be honest, in this film was really artistic, really creative.
Right.
She was a really cool person. She just happened to be a little bit cuckoo.
Just a little bit cuckoo. Do you think it improved the story of, like, Cruella and, like, the 100 Dalmatians? Like, do you look at the character Cruella better because of this, or?
Yeah, except that I can't wrap my mind around Cruella, this movie, and 101 Dalmatians. I think they're gonna have to make a different 101 Dalmatians, which would be the third time we've done this, because I can't figure out how this Cruella is now gonna kill puppies and stuff.
I think that's the point, though. So let's use the example of Maleficent 2, which they used to retell Sleeping Beauty, but a different side of the equation on that, like to tell her version of the story. That the way we thought it happened didn't necessarily, at least from her point of view, Obi-Wan from a certain point of view, to explain what actually occurred in this tale.
Yeah.
So maybe she really wasn't the puppy killer that we thought she was in the cartoon.
That's my point.
So I'm just saying.
Maybe she wasn't as evil as we thought she was.
So they could redo it, but they're going to have a hard time pigeonhole her into that role that she was in 101, 102 Dalmatians, whether it was the animated or...
I feel like, though, the ending of this movie, when you had Roger playing the song in his apartment, like, obviously they're going to create another movie.
Well, and so here, think about this, too. So Roger playing that song is more creating the myth again, because remember, Maleficent was, you've heard the tale and the legend, the fable of Maleficent. It's kind of built this bigger than life persona, and she did that herself throughout this bigger than life persona, like in terms of what she became after inheriting the Baroness's fortune and all that stuff, her mother's fortune. So I don't know necessarily that just because Roger's playing the song that means she's evil or that she's going to take a more evil turn. It's just, hey, I didn't like working for this person, and I kind of see her as the devil because her name kind of rhymes with that. It's just a different way to view it.
Cruella and devil don't rhyme.
Not rhyme is not the right alliteration. I don't know. I'm using words I don't understand at this point.
Just stop talking.
So you brought up Roger. Did you like that they included Anita and Roger in this one?
I honestly didn't even realize that that's who they were.
I kind of
Yes, I heard their names, but I didn't put two and two together because they weren't dating, married, together. So I didn't put it together until the very end. And I think in the theater, you kind of elbowed me like, oh, that's Roger. And I'm like, oh.
I think for me, I was fine with them being included, but not as much. They weren't integral to the story, but, Anita had a pretty decent role, and Roger, for the most part, in Cruella's, story here. I just would have preferred at the end, maybe, the last thing we got of the Dalmatians being delivered to Anita and to Roger, and Cruella now being a part of that, apparently, and that was Pongo and Perdita. I would have if that had just happened, I'd been like, great. That's a great way to include them. It doesn't take the spotlight away from... everybody's not then looking, okay, where does Anita's story go from here? Where does Roger's story... Because we know their story in terms of... Because in 101 Dalmatians, it all comes together. They come together.
Right.
Obviously, they get married. Basically, Pongo and Perdita get married and have just tons of kids. Not Not all 100. Did you?
99.
Can we? No, hold on. They didn't have the 99. Remember, they found a bunch of the other ones. They had like 15, I think, and
then they found 70 puppies,
something like that. Could you
74
imagine having 101 like puppies?
Dalmatians?
Like trying to.
Could you imagine how that would smell? Oh my god, that'd be worse than a vet clinic.
If they were wet, I bet it'd be kind of fun for like 2 hours.
So they peed on the floor. Kyle, 2 dogs pee. Oh my god, and then all 100 of them are peeing on the floor to mark that same spot. Could you imagine? Ugh.
You were upset with the lack of Dalmatians in the movie?
Yeah, because I thought that was the whole point. Like, hello. I mean,
This is not Dalmatians. This is Cruella.
I know it's Cruella's story, but I thought that Dalmatians would have been a bigger part of the story. I mean, I get it. Like, they killed her mom.
Right.
Then we gave them to Anita and Roger.
Mm-hmm. That's about it. They stole them for a little bit, and kind of kept them from the Baroness. I think they did about as much as they could with Dalmatians in this movie.
Without it being overpowering?
Without making it about the Dalmatians.
Okay.
Look, we all know that where this story is leading at some point. We all know how big the Dalmatians are part of it. And it's the same thing for Anita and Roger. I think what they did with the Dalmatians, they should have done with Anita and Roger. They made them an important part of the story, but didn't make it all about them.
That's how I felt they did with Anita and Roger.
I felt like they made them too much. Like the Dalmatians.
What movie were you watching?
Because Cruella needed a reason to have harsh feelings toward Dalmatians.
Yeah.
To inform her character. And obviously, what more harsh feelings than having them
kill
launch
her
your
mom.
Adoptive mother over a ledge.
There would have been no recovery from that. I would have never been able to look at a dog the same way. And then she got dogs.
She did, and she had a dog the entire time, too, which was
Buddy, and then Horace and Jasper had Wink.
I loved Wink.
I did too.
I loved Wink so much.
Oh my gosh. And I'm not normally a Chihuahua fan, but...
Winky little beauty!
That was good.
He had like a little eye patch too.
Yep.
Like this.
Yeah.
I think Wink was probably the unsung hero of the entire.
I mean, I did enjoy Wink. I thought he was really funny in how they would send him off to go do thievery and stuff.
You liked also Estella's progression in this. You thought it was pretty decent.
I love that we got the background of Estella, before she became Cruella. Mm-hmm. I thought the pacing of it was done really well, that we didn't spend too long, because I think a lot of movies spend way too long in the past, and we don't see, exactly why the movie is here. Mm-hmm. So I felt like we spent probably 25 to 30% of the movie in the past. Yeah. But then the majority, the great bulk of the movie was present, Cruella, after she transitioned, and I said that, Cruella. Not Cruella.
I'm gonna start singing.
I thought that was really, really important, that we didn't always dwell on the past, but we kind of got a little bit of background, but that we spent the majority of time with Cruella and the Baroness.
Yeah, I thought it was a little fast at the beginning, to be honest. Like a little just too...
I like fast.
Chop, 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 chop. And I think that part of that was because I also was picking up on what I thought was going to be the plot twist throughout the entire thing. And I think that's probably why they did that.
And that's probably a failure
Move too fast.
Probably a failure on you, not necessarily the movie.
No,
because
that's what I'm
you
saying.
Were focusing on, that's going to be a plot twist, that's going to be a plot twist,
exactly.
Not necessarily watching the movie.
And I think that's why they decided to do it that way, is because if people focused on that event too much, they start asking too many questions until when the plot was actually revealed at the beginning of the whole thing, and which I thought was a great twist, personally. Horace and Jasper.
Loved Horace and Jasper. They were everything that I needed them to be.
Right.
They, even from the time they were kids. I loved that we saw them grow up. I loved that Estella lived with them. I just loved everything about them.
Horace and Jasper, I think, did the most service for this movie than even Emma Stone and Cruella. No taking anything away from Emma Stone. She's brilliant, and she's done it again. She can act, and on many different levels. She can sing, she can dance. We all know that. So this is that's the understatement of the year to even discuss that point. But I think, personally, if you're going to have a successful origin story for something like this, try to do something different, you've got to also have the characters beside it that are going to really build that up.
For sure.
For me, Maleficent, since we keep comparing that,
keep comparing that.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't think that the supporting characters are necessarily as good as Horace and Jasper, because we've never learned a ton about them except that they were crooks and they were criminals, and they are still in this, but they're lovable, crooks. I think Horace specifically was just the best.
Well, and I think in 101 Dalmatians, the animated version, and I can't remember the Glenn Close version as much, but I felt like Horace and Jasper were just ding-dongs. Like, they weren't smart.
Bumbling idiots.
Yeah, that's it. But in this movie, they actually were smarter than we gave them credit for.
They're still bumbling a little bit.
They were, but they weren't giant idiots. I mean, they'd lived on their own since they were, 12 years old. So they obviously had a level of intelligence when it came to stealing.
Yeah.
And which Wink was kind of...
And it's also an interesting turn that they brought in Cruella as opposed to Cruella found them and hired them or something like that. Like, she had to work her way into, which speaks to...
And they didn't... Who was it? Was it Horace that was like, I don't want to live with that girl?
I think it was... Yeah, Horace... You're right. Horace was... And Jasper's like, well, maybe it would make us look less conspicuous having a young girl with us, just because we don't look as suspicious to the rowdy guys.
Can we be thankful? Because I was scared, talking about plot twists, I was scared they were going to make Cruella and Jasper an item, a couple.
They kind of hinted at that.
They did, bit. And I was like, no.
But I think what they did so beautifully was they went there and then immediately removed it, like just said, you look so cute, and you're like that, and then it was just kind of awkward for a second, and then they moved on to something else. I think it was fine to do that, but don't make it about that.
Right.
So I think that. This movie, personally, did so many things just enough that it kind of, like, got you to the edge of, like, oh, yeah, or oh, no, like that. And it was just kind of like, you weren't really expecting a lot of the things that were going to be happening in this overall. Is she a villain?
Yeah.
Still?
Yeah.
Even after watching all of this, what she's been through and the trauma.
I'm not saying she's not a justified villain. I think she has righteous anger. But she's still a villain.
I don't necessarily see her as a villain anymore.
Well,
and if they continue and retell the original stories again with this new version of Cruella, maybe I'll still think she is a villain. But right now, I don't think she is.
That's a good discussion point. I want to hear what y'all think that you're watching. Please comment below and let us know what you think. If is Cruella a villain or is she just justified?
The other thing, and probably the last thing I want to talk about before we get to our favorite characters, this was. A lot of people pin this as a Joker meets a Devil Wears Prada.
Yes.
Especially from the trailers. Now, what I will say, and see if you agree, definitely Devil Wears Prada with the whole fashion scene and all that kind of stuff. But less Joker. I
didn't really get the Joker vibes at all. When you typed that out, I was like, I've never thought about the Joker.
The trailer made it seem super sinister, super dark.
It did. The trailer made it seem way darker than it was in reality.
And so you see dark trailer, PG-13 was like, oh, we're gonna get them actually killing puppies or something.
I know. I was so scared. There was no bad language. There was not as many dark scenes as the trailer made it sound like.
I think
I understand it being PG-13, but I felt like it was okay also.
I think, kind of being the rebel, encouraging, stealing stuff, that's probably the PG-13. But also the dogs killing someone is probably
and it is it's a dark film, but it wasn't what I was expecting. I expected it to be very scary.
So that's the biggest takeaway here, I think, is that what we expected of Cruella to be, we were pleasantly surprised to not expect, our expectations were exceeded or subverted, or whatever way you want to phrase that. Favorite main character?
I mean, come on. Cruella. I can't pick anybody else.
I
loved her.
will say that, as we always define, that main characters are integral to the plot. If you remove them, it doesn't happen.
Duh. The movie is named Cruella!
Horace is my favorite main character.
Okay.
I know that seems like a little bit of you might be able to remove him. In this version, I don't think you can, because things won't be as successful for them, but Horace is by far and away the best character for me, the main character, your favorite minor character.
Well, that's unfortunate, because Horace was my favorite minor character.
Fine. Well, if you had to pick another one, throw it out there.
Jasper.
Mine's going to be Wink, because that's a minor character.
Oh, yeah, Wink, he's so cute.
Wink is the absolute best.
Yeah.
I think I'm a bigger Wink fan now than I am a Cruella fan.
Hey, as we looked online, you can buy a stuffed animal that looks like Wink.
I might have to go do that. Add it to the collection back here.
Collection of junk.
It's not junk. It's just stuff, darling. I don't know why I threw in a Cruella reference there at some point. All right. Now we want to know from you what you thought about the Cruella movie that either you watched in theaters or on Premiere Access. We asked you a couple questions throughout this. Just give us your overall thoughts, and their spoilers are fair game because this is a spoiler review. So if you watch this and you haven't seen it, I'm sorry.
You were warned with Kyle's weird beacons of hope.
We warned you. several times. But share all that in the comment section below. What else should they do?
Like I said at the beginning, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel, joining our family, and turning on that notification bell and liking this video if you enjoy it.
And if you want some more reviews from us here on this channel, we'll have a playlist available for you at the end, but also up above in the video if you want to check that out. Until we assemble again,
May the force be with you.
and we'll see you real soon.
Bye, guys.